What's going on, everybody? Before I get into anything, I just want to thank you guys for your support. Even though the algorithm pushed me, it was your likes and comments that really gave me the confidence I needed. I debated what the best thing to do was since I have new subscribers, but I decided to set the tone and do something I do tend to do a lot, which is give pushback to what the talking heads say on TV. These guys on social media or on television, they say a lot of things, and honestly, someone needs to correct them. And today, we'll mainly be focusing on this grifter right here, Kendrick Perkins, the lapdog of ESPN. This is the same guy that said the Spurs would beat the Wolves, then said the Wolves would beat the Spurs, and now is saying the Spurs would beat the Wolves. It literally gave my brain and my tongue a heart attack. But that's enough talking, let's start the video. And be free if you do agree with Kendrick to put in the comments.
Points in Game 1 against the Lakers, the Thunder were in complete control. And Perk, you've been extremely high on SGA and what's at stake for him and this team historically if they're able to go back-to-back, which brings me to my first question. What would the Thunder need to accomplish this postseason for it to be considered a historic run?
Oh, completing the mission and winning the championship again. And when you think about what's at stake, you think about SGA, and if he could mimic and duplicate what he did last season, winning MVP, regular season MVP, which he's probably going to win this season, win another championship and finals MVP, we're going to be having a uncomfortable conversation when it comes to SGA and what he ranks for as all-time greats. Because I strongly believe that somebody in that top 10 is going to have to step aside.
3 days later.
You talk about who the Knicks play, who did the Thunder play?
Well, they beat the Lakers.
They beat the Suns and the Lakers without Luka Doncic and subpar Austin Reeves. Okay, who gives a damn? And DeAndre Ayton, who can't catch a cold if he had his hands out there.
Unless he was on the beach.
Yeah, okay.
Who would you move out if SGA is able to finish the job off here and lead his team to winning another finals?
Courtney, why? I mean, to be honest, if he was to complete the mission right now, I would have to lean more towards, because I do have Olajuwon in my top 10, right?
Now, I don't want to touch on Olajuwon too much because I want to save my ammo for a bigger fish to fry or bigger fishes to fry, because I do think Olajuwon is the greatest center of all time. So let's pause that. But SGA being a top 10 player of all time from winning this championship. Now, as Kendrick Perkins said, they did not play against anybody, but there's a bigger problem. I wanted to watch this series carefully with LeBron James going against this OKC team because as a Michael Jordan fan, I do need to see LeBron James's games just because if someone says LeBron James did this or that, I would like to see what he did and give pushback. And so I watched those critical games, and I can honestly say, if, in my opinion, LeBron James was on that OKC team, you couldn't convince me they'd lose to that Lakers team, even if SGA was on the Lakers. And before I move on, I'll give LeBron James respect for that at age 41. But now, moving on, I have to say, looking at performances with AJ Mitchell, looking at the fact that Jalen Williams was also hurt, and Oklahoma City had meaningful time without SGA on the court, and they did a pretty good job. They were basically winning the series without him, at least in my opinion. And in my opinion, it's blasphemous to try to put him in the top 10 with guys like Tim Duncan, Shaq, Olajuwon, Kobe Bryant. All these guys were arguable wherever you put them in your top 10, but they're somewhere in your top 10. Larry Bird, guys like that. Whether it be Olajuwon or Tim Duncan, is that something you're willing to do? I'm definitely not.
What SGA has done, winning the championship in your same conference, knocking you out of the playoffs, obviously Wemby's on the rise. You still have Luka. Like, I feel like it's that time this postseason for Anthony Edwards to take that leap. I understand he's battling injuries, but when you talk about a moment, I want you to think about this for a second. If Anthony Edwards' team, if Anthony Edwards could lead his team, he past Jokic, past Wemby, past SGA, and possibly whoever he faced in the finals could be Big Body Brunson in the New York Knicks, we're having a different conversation. That could be arguably top five really greatest championship runs of all time. When you talk about the legends and the guys that he had to go through, Hall of Fame.
Next, we have Kendrick Perkins, again, trying to hype up Anthony Edwards. It seems like they're always trying to make him this Michael Jordan-like figure. He's just not. Honestly, he may be better than Vince Carter when it's all said and done, but I think he'd be lucky to be better than a Clyde Drexler. That's just my opinion. We have to see how it plays out. But to say he's going to have a top 5 playoff or finals run of all time, top 5 championship run of all time, I think that's pretty weird. When you look at the all-time great players like Olajuwon's back-to-backs, pick which year you want, any of Michael Jordan's years, LeBron, you can pick the team he was on. When you look at all those things, one thing they have in common is they didn't have guys like Ayo Dosunmu winning games for them when they were hurt, and then, if not Ayo, Jaden McDaniels when Ayo was out.
Ayo, what the fuck?
And you were out. Of course, we're going to have to see what he does, but look at his last game. Game 5 didn't look all that well for Anthony Edwards, and this is a top 5 finals run of all time. Usually top 5 is comparable to number 1. So no matter where you have Dirk Nowitzki's run, you think this is close to Dirk Nowitzki's run or in the same realm?
Idol, you're the last person that should make that kind of mistake. But let's get back to what we're saying here. I do not disagree with you about Jalen Brunson. As great as Walt Clyde Frazier was, is, and will always be. And Earl of Pearl Morrell, let's not forget him either. Jalen Brunson, if he leads the New York Knicks to the title, he will be the greatest Knickerbocker in franchise history. I have no problem with that statement at all.
The NBA, Kendrick Perkins had a very interesting take on Jalen Brunson. I'll let you guys take a listen.
I'm going to tell you what's at stake for Jalen Brunson. What's at stake for Jalen Brunson right now? If he goes out and lead this team and wins the championship, he will be the greatest Knick of all time. Yes, I said it, the greatest Knick of all time.
The greatest Knick of all time.
Yep. And I love KD. I'm just saying, like, the start of his career is really, really good. Let's go to Brunson, though. I love Patrick Ewing. My parents is from New York. They're from Queens, New York, so they love Pat, right? I had Patrick Ewing's on my feet back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
But why is he better than Brunson? Because he going to have some all-NBA.
How about I tell you exactly why? For Jalen Brunson to be even in the same conversation of Patrick Ewing isn't right, but because they're both Knicks, you get a pass. But let's be honest and let's be clear. There's no debate on who the better player was. And if we're going to go greater because of accomplishments, that's just not fair. Because even the Michael Jordan fan I am, I'll always admit this. Patrick Ewing definitely could have used some help on those Knicks teams. I've gone back and watched them play, and one thing is clear to me. Some games, Michael Jordan needed help, and some games, Patrick Ewing needed help. And honestly, the winner of those games, that was the deciding factor. Who was going to get the help? So to act like Patrick Ewing is an all-time great player because he doesn't have a championship, well, he went against Michael Jordan. And for LeBron James fans, I'm sure they don't think Jalen Brunson's going to get one off on LeBron. So try to imagine the struggle. And now let's get to Walt Frazier. When I heard Stephen A. Smith say the ridiculous stuff he said about Walt Frazier, I may or may not have cussed at the TV. But let's get this clear. Jalen Brunson is not on the same level as Walt Frazier. And winning one championship to give you guys relevancy in the 2020s doesn't override the fact that Walt Frazier gave you 2 championships. The only 2 championships that you guys have. And so you can't forget about how long you guys would have been championship lists. Their biggest reasonings for Jalen Brunson going up so high would be because of who he beat in the finals. But Walt Frazier beat the Lakers in the finals with Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, and Elgin Baylor. Not only did he give you guys 2 championships, but you guys went to the finals 3 times because of him, and had one of the greatest Game 7 finals appearances of all time, scoring 31 of his team's 46 field goals, leading the Knicks over the Lakers 113-99. I would like to give Jalen Brunson credit for going off the ball and it working for the Knicks, but the fact that they had to switch it up on you, I don't really believe in you like that to put you over Patrick or Walt Frazier. I'll be the first person to admit, I don't remember liking that comment, or do I think I agree necessarily, but the next topic is about Wemby and how the NBA has decided to go about, I guess, punishing him or officiating him. You'll find out.
He is the chosen one. You must see it.
Tending, maybe even a fifth. It's kind of, to me, it's a little alarming that none of them were called. So let's just say there were 4. That's 8 points. The value of 8 points in an NBA game is massive, right? That's also, 33% of his blocks were goaltending uncalled. And, if I were to give you a 33% raise, you'd like that, right? I mean, that's a huge number.
2 + 2 is 4. -1, that's 3. Quick maths.
Tonight is not the goaltending calls, although you know that the first block, everybody's gonna be doing it and looking at it, and Chris Fitch is gonna go, I got him.
I had to cut the majority of the portion where they all gave their opinions, but I'll be honest, it was just like what Wemby said. None of them were giving any credence to the blocks or the fouls or anything like that. They were just saying Wemby had a great game. It would have been A blocks, this, that, and the third. And I kind of wish I did have that for you guys. But the bigger point is this. That's unacceptable. You can't say that, it would have been 8 blocks or 7 blocks. Still impressive. No. Let's go back to Tim Duncan in the finals in a closeout game where he almost had a quadruple-double in a closeout game. And afterwards, they brought it to 8 blocks, I think. Stuff like that. Wemby would have had that quadruple-double is what I'm getting from this. And if I'm going to be honest, that's going to really piss me off when you put him next to Akeem Olajuwon or any all-time greats with stats like this. Now, my opinion is this. Wemby is kind of hard for me because I like him to play a little bit better. At least, know how to play the game basketball a little bit better, and he's been doing pretty good on that. My real beef with Wemby is this. If they're going to allow these blocks to happen, then we have to count this when we're talking about where he is all time and where we compare him to the all-time greats. Because again, like I've said before, he is not going against all-time great centers as of right now, or at least he hasn't. As of right now, he's gone against Rudy Gobert in the playoffs. I really wanted to see what he'd do against Nikola Jokic or a healthy Joel Embiid. We're not going to get that. So we honestly just have to see where's he going to rank. Because he's not playing against all-time great centers, at least in the playoffs. And so for me, these blocking, this goaltending, this blocking stuff, it definitely does matter. You have to watch how you're going to officiate them, especially if we're going to always come back every night after every game and look at the stats that they did and then compare them to all-time great players. In my opinion, it's just not fair. Lastly, I'd like to give the girl on the set credit because she did touch on the fact that those missed calls definitely hurts the Wolves' offense. And yeah, it did. And I'm pretty sure the Wolves feel like they probably would have won the game if the game was called properly. But we're going to stick with Wemby and talk about his Karl Malone-like actions.
Became just the 3rd player to record a triple-double with blocks in the playoffs since blocks were officially tracked back.
Naz Reid. According to Shams, there will be no further discipline for Spurs star Victor Wembanyama after he was ejected for elbowing Naz Reid in Minnesota on Sunday night. No suspension, no fine. Wembanyama will play in Game 5 against the Timberwolves Tuesday night in San Antonio. The series is tied 2-2, so this decision of no decision.
This reminds me, I'm not going to say names, but I got a chance after I got hurt, Stephen A. and Cam, to go to an NBA team, and we went out one night. And star player and role player did something. And I remember sitting with the coach the next day, and the coach said, he ain't him, and him ain't him. And it was interesting just hearing that, because it was like, oh, different strokes for different folks. So Cam, you talked about this earlier before. For repeat offenders or somebody like a Naz Reid, sure, that may be the case. For a guy like Wemby, first ejection, it's not going to be the case. The world may not like it, but at the end of the day, the league has set the standard. And Victor Wembanyama is in a different place within his career and sets a different standard for the league than other players. And we act like double standards don't exist in this world. They exist every single day. Stephen A., I hear all the shows you talk about. It's just a reality of the world we live in. I can't get away with things at this network that you can. And that's just where it is. Cam, same thing for you. You can say something in the world, and then I can be like, oh, well, Cam said it. Don't mean the same rules apply to me. We live by these standards every single day, but then we get angry. But that ain't the world we live in. To me, that's just what it is.
I don't know if you've seen me and Perk discussing this last hour, Jay. And I said the same thing that you said. Perk showed me him lightly headbutting somebody, him getting suspended for a game. Perk, you wasn't Wemby. That was no disrespect. It's like,
I'd be the first person to tell you Michael Jordan got away with punching Reggie Miller in the face and not getting suspended. But that doesn't mean I agree with it. And so I certainly don't agree with Wemby not getting suspended for a game or not getting fined at all. I think this is clear favoritism. If it was another player, they would have gotten some type of further punishment. And this is just letting you know that the NBA is confident of who they think the next star player will be when LeBron James retires. And so this is going to be the next guy they push. And so they want to see him continue to play, or they want us to continue to see him play. And so that's why they didn't suspend him. But I don't think that was right. I think something should have happened. This is just my thoughts. These were a series of topics I really needed to get off my chest. Next video is going to be about the IBM system. In the video after that, if you liked the Goldstein video, you'll definitely like this video. Until next time, so long. Yeah, this is exactly the problem. You're trying to tell me Wemby's already in your top 10? The context was he said Wemby was in his top 10. I asked him if he thought KD was in there too, because he said Wemby was in his top 10 based off the things he could do. And KD can do a lot of stuff too. This was his response. But wow, Wemby that high, LeBron that low. Damn.